Yo, it's Kim and I hope you all had an awesome break. It's nice to see all your faces again, and honestly, I didn't get that much of a break over the break just because there were so many things to do. But here we are, 2019, the beginning of the year with so many goals that haven't been unmet yet, haven't been shattered. So many things to look forward to. And speaking of things to look forward to, if you were thinking of starting a YouTube channel in 2019, or perhaps just get into video more in 2019, here's a video to start your year. So before we start, we're only going to cover the gear side of things in this video, but honestly the best way to make it in the creative space, whether that's YouTube or another platform, is to have good content, so just keep that in mind. And honestly, I could end the video right there, but we love gear, so today we're going to look at 4 things you need to get before you start a YouTube channel. So you're gonna need some kind of tripod, some kind of camera, some kind of light, and some kind of mic. Now when you have these 4 bases down, you're honestly covered for video, and the only difference between your level of production and a Hollywood level production is the level of equipment that you're using, that and maybe millions of dollars, and skills that you don't have yet trying to start a YouTube channel. Lights, camera, action. Now I've always wondered why they said those particular 3 things and they never said lights, camera, sound, action, because somewhere there's probably a disgruntled sound guy that doesn't get his due, but that's beside the point, like this letter T. And again, before we start, there's a million ways to go about this, but I'm just gonna talk about the things that I've personally used or recommend. Starting off with audio, one of the things you should first consider is a smartphone. Now, using a smartphone is not a bad idea. Honestly, it's the budget of budget options because you probably already have one. The cons is that you probably have to get it closer to your mouth, so you're gonna have to find some kind of clamp, and it's gonna be in the frame. So if I were to use this for this video, I'd probably be holding it somewhere around right there. Now, all smartphones have a decent microphone because once upon a time, the main function of a phone was to be talked into. So like I said, you probably should get a smartphone table mount or something along those lines, and that way you'll be able to put it closer to your mouth. And let's just start recording on my phone. Sure, it's probably gonna be in the frame, but there's an old saying that people can forgive bad video, but they can't forgive bad audio, and that, unlike the function of phones, hasn't really changed. I've just got a whole bunch of these. So this is a lav mic. They're really small. You fix it up on your shirt like this. You'll see this a lot on TV for news anchors or even people on YouTube. But get a lav mic because it's small, it's easy to transport around, and it's pretty discreet. And they're also pretty affordable. The one that I'm recommending is about $20 on Amazon, and you have the flexibility of plugging it into your camera or your smartphone, and that's really nice to have. So if you're filming indoors, I recommend that you get this mic for 20 bucks. This is a bargain. And if you ask me what I'd recommend out of these 3 audio options, it would probably be this one to start. And this is a personal thing, but anytime I can plug my microphone straight into my camera, I do it because there's just one step that I don't need to do in post. Again, it's not that hard, but it is one more step. Now to give you an idea, I actually use a shotgun mic for my channel, but I don't have it fixed on top of my camera, which is way over there. It's actually just like right here. So this is a pretty long disclaimer for getting a shotgun mic, but honestly the danger is that so many people on YouTube recommend buying a shotgun mic that I think it gets overhyped a little bit. So if you're not using your camera super close to you, I don't recommend that you use a shotgun mic. The only reason I can do it is because I've bought a whole contraption. I've got like a mount here, and that's just not what you want to do when you're starting off with YouTube. Definitely go with a lav or a smartphone to begin with, and maybe get onto a shotgun later. Now, having said that, all the sound that you hear from my channel is basically recorded on this guy right here. I swear by this microphone. I got it for like 60 bucks. I think you can get it for around $50 these days. And before anyone asks, yes, the Pro models are better, but they cost 4 or 5 times more than this model. And I don't think that there's much of a difference between the sound quality of this microphone and those Pro microphones. Also, my favorite part about this microphone is that it's plug and play. There's no batteries involved. And I cannot tell you the number of times that I'd had to use a shotgun mic that uses batteries, and having left it on all night, being anxious the next day thinking, oh my gosh, is this gonna last me the entire shoot or not? So for under $60, I don't think this microphone can be beat, at least not yet. Moving on to lights, there's two things that I recommend. The first, which is really basic, is window light. Now you will not appreciate how nice window light is until you start working in video. Seriously, the light we take for granted every day coming out of our windows is just beautiful. It's really hard to imitate that kind of natural light using artificial light, so you get the idea. Use window light, it's really good. So the best kind of windows are the ones that face north or south. Pull up Google Maps and use 3rd grade geography, you'll figure it out. But if your window happens to face east or west, that's not a problem, but you want to focus on recording when the sun is not directly facing your window. So if it's on the east, you'll want to record during the afternoon, and if it's on the west, you'll want to record in the morning. So there's 3 rules I abide by when recording with window light, and the first thing is to avoid direct sunlight. The second thing is to get as close to the window as you possibly can, and the third thing is that the bigger the window, the better. And honestly, it could be a door as well. Moving on to artificial lights, I recommend the Yongnuo 160 or the 300. I use the 160 and the 300 is bigger and probably a better option. The light has good neutral color and it's relatively powerful, and it also has 2 colors. So with this setup, you're probably gonna need a light stand or another tripod to fix the light onto. And I use a 501 reflector to diffuse the light, which you'll probably need as well. So you're probably gonna need another mount for that. But here's a pro tip. If you're recording in front of a wall, that'd be great. And this would make your life so much easier. Here's a pro tip. Just bounce that light off the wall, and if your walls aren't white, just tape some paper on it or some foam core or just generally anything that's white. The light is gonna look so much better than if you're pointing that light directly at your face. Do you see the patterns here? When we were talking about the window light, we also didn't like the direct sunlight because of all the harsh shadows that'll put on your face. But when you have this nice diffused light that's bounced off of something else, be it the wall or in the case of sunlight, everywhere else, before it hits your face, the effect is just so much better. So when it comes to tripods, I tend to use hybrid tripods just because they're smaller and usually they're lighter than video tripods. But if you're definitely getting into video and you really want to invest, it's definitely worth buying the more expensive tripods that are definitely just for video. But we'll talk about that later. So I still use the K&F concept tripod that I made a video about ages ago. But I've been looking around Amazon lately, and the Zome Z668C is basically identical to the K&F tripod, which means they're probably coming out from the same factory with just different branding. However, the Zome is carbon fiber and it costs less than the K&F concept. So if I had to do it over again, I'd probably jump over to the Zome today. So when it comes to dedicated video tripods, I've never actually used one and thought, wow, I really need this in my life. In my experience, they break down into 2 categories. One, the really cheap ones, which oftentimes are really light. So you don't want that when you're moving the camera. You want a good stable base. And secondly, maybe they're just not smooth. You don't want that in your videos. And then the second type of video camera is the more expensive ones. And oftentimes they are heavier, they are stable, but they're also really expensive. And I don't want to carry that around either. I don't want all those pounds on my back. And I also just don't want to pay that much for a tripod. However, if you think you've found the best video tripod, leave a comment down below and I'll check it out. We made it to cameras. Okay, so I'm gonna make this super simple for you guys. I'm just gonna give you 2 options. Honestly, you guys can probably guess what it is. The first option is gonna be the Canon M50. Oh my goodness, all the disappointment in all your faces right now. You may be thinking, I'm like a 4/3 user recommending Canon. Don't know why I tried the British accent right there. Canon. But honestly, this is a great starter camera, and the camera to choose if you want good autofocus from your camera. It also has a mic jack. The 1080p is decent, but it's not as sharp as the next camera. The 4K is alright, but it's really cropped in, so you probably won't be using it. But overall, this is a pretty good starter camera. Now moving on to the second camera option, and it's still the Lumix G7. 3 or 4 years running now. This is an amazing camera. I'm still using it for my YouTube videos. I still use it as a B cam for my video projects. It's an awesome, awesome camera. Now the catch with this camera is that it doesn't do autofocus very well, but there's easy ways around that, including using manual focus. And I made a video about that ages ago. I'll link that up here. Now, people will complain about the smaller sensor size on the G7, but honestly, professional videographers use the GH5, which has the exact same size sensor as this camera, so it's really about how you use the tool. But overall, Panasonic cameras just have very good video, whether it's with the G7 or the top of the line GH5. It doesn't really matter, Panasonic just knows how to do video very well. So if you want the best image quality at around this price point for 1080p or 4K, I would still recommend the G7, which is insane because it's like a 3 or 4 year old camera. Now, one more option I'm gonna throw out there is to just use your smartphone as your camera. This is a 4-year-old smartphone, and honestly, in good light, it's hard for me to tell the difference between this camera and this camera. So there's a reason that I put audio and lighting before the cameras in this video, and honestly, it's because those aspects are often overlooked, but sometimes they can be more important than the camera and the lens itself. So that's basically it. Gear is really fun to talk about, but honestly, don't get lost in it. You don't need the latest and greatest to make great videos. So I think if you took all the budget options in this video, like using one lav mic, using natural light, using your smartphone to record yourself, but you're creative and you have great ideas for videos, you're gonna outshine anyone with a Red that has no imagination. So welcome to 2019, we're just getting started.